The ticking of the clock taunts me. Each second seems to mock my insomnia, like it knows what's about to happen. The sound is sharp, rhythmic, almost cruel. Outside, the world sleeps. But inside, something broke. It wasn't sudden. It didn't shatter with noise. It was a slow crack, the build-up of small absences, cold words, empty glances. It was a silent death stretched out over years. The end of a marriage doesn't always come with yelling. Sometimes it arrives with silence. My husband had been distant for a long time. Physically present, emotionally gone. I tried. I really did. I tried talking. I tried seducing him. I even tried crying. But nothing reached him. He treated me like a shadow. And shadows don't feel. Shadows don't need affection. I remember the times he walked past me without a kiss, without a touch. The day I cut my hair and he didn't even notice. The nights I wore my best lingerie, and he said he was tired. I remember the shared loneliness at dinner. The sound of cutlery and the deafening silence between us. That's when the anger started to grow. Quiet anger. Bitterness that crept in slowly, like weeds choking a garden. I was a woman forgotten, screaming silently on the inside. I stare at myself in the mirror. Who is she? My eyes have lost their spark. My skin looks pale. My gestures have become robotic. I vanished. I erased myself trying to ignite the love of someone who no longer cared. That night, between one breath and the next, I understood something. It wasn't about him anymore. It was about me. About saving myself. About remembering that I still existed. That I still had life pulsing inside me. So I made a decision. I was going to cheat. Not for passion. Not for lust. But for emotional survival. I opened the closet and ran my hands through my clothes. I chose something bold. A dress that reminded me of who I used to be. High heels. Red lipstick. My favorite perfume. I wanted to feel desirable again. Not for anyone else, but for me. I walked into a small, quiet bar. The kind with soft yellow lighting and people who don't ask questions. And then I saw him. A man sitting alone. Handsome. Mysterious. He looked at me like he saw me. Not in a vulgar way but deeply. Curiously. Like he could read everything I wasn't saying. We exchanged smiles. A toast. A simple conversation. No expectations. No judgments. Just two strangers. Needing to feel alive. The room was simple. Heavy curtains. Clean sheets. Dim lighting. When he touched me, something inside me melted. It wasn't just physical pleasure. It felt like he was caressing every part of me that had been ignored for years. With every touch, I remembered I was human. That I was hungry. That my body still responded. That my soul still existed. And when I reached that climax, for the first time in so long, I cried. Not out of sadness. But relief. I was still there. I came home with the taste of him still on my lips and the weight of my decisions settling in my chest. I told myself it was just one night. Just an escape. But deep down, I knew something had awakened. And it wasn't going back to sleep. His memory visited me in the quietest moments. When my husband walked past me without noticing, I remembered the other man, and smiled to myself. A private smile. Bittersweet. Freeing. Yes, the guilt came. But softly. Like a breeze compared to the storm of justice I felt in being seen. Desired. Heard. The guilt couldn't compete with that. I started taking care of myself again. Eating better. Moving my body. Smiling more. I started dreaming again. First small, then bigger. I didn't want to live on stolen moments anymore. I wanted freedom. Fully. Cleanly. Openly. So I began to plan my exit. Not to keep deceiving, but to leave. I reviewed my finances. Gathered proof. Quietly met with lawyers. I built my independence one day at a time. Meanwhile at home, the silence grew unbearable. He didn't notice. Or maybe he did, and just didn't care. I had already left in spirit long before I packed a single bag. We're not happy anymore. I deserve another chance to live. That's what I told him. Come. Steady. Unshaken. He tried to argue, to understand what couldn't be explained. But it was too late. The woman I had been beside him, she no longer existed. I didn't mention the other man. Because this wasn't about him. This was about me. I left with only a few bags. But I carried something far greater. Courage. Dignity. Freedom. When I saw my lover again, no longer a secret but a choice. He looked at me the same way he did that first night. Fully. And I knew I had made the right decision. Today, when I look back, I don't feel shame. I feel release. I don't celebrate the affair, but I no longer blame myself for it either. It was the spark that lit my soul back on fire. It was the jolt I needed to wake up from a numb life. Sometimes, life pushes us down crooked paths, so we can finally see what's straight. And if this story touched something inside you, maybe it's time to ask yourself, honestly, are you living? Or just surviving next to someone who no longer sees you? If this story stirred something inside you, if you've ever lived in silence or felt invisible in your own home, just know you're not alone. This isn't just another cheating wife story. This is about pain, rebirth, and remembering your worth. Speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Or your story. This is a safe space, judgment-free. Thumbs up, hit that like button. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear honest infidelity stories that go deeper than betrayal. Bell, subscribe to the channel for more emotional, transformative narratives every week. Mobile phone with arrow, and if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone stuck in silence, or in the middle of an emotional affair, share this video. It might be the sign they've been waiting for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling. And always remember, you don't deserve crumbs. You deserve love, real love. And most of all, you deserve to live fully.